So, what's going on guys, Kade is here and welcome back to a brand new video. For today, we're taking a closer look at the fastest way to get to max tier in Albion Online. First of all, I will explain and show you the quickest path to get from tier 1 to tier 8. And then I will tell you the best places to fame farm, what are the best strategies, the best builds and equipment to use, and much more. So if you're looking for a complete beginner's guide to leveling, then this is the video for you. And with all of this said, let's get right into it. Okay, so let's start with creating your own character. So before you click to play the game for the first time ever, if you are a complete beginner, then click the check mark to play the tutorial. But if you're not a new player and already have some experience with how the game works and how to move and things like that, then make sure that the checkbox is unmarked. And when you get the option, pick which place you want to teleport, choose the Swamp Cross, as it is one of the easiest and best places to start, for easy resources and powerful cities nearby. Then when you are in the Swamp Cross, gather around 15 tier 1 stone and 15 tier 1 wood. Then go to the toolmaker, which you can find by opening your minimap, which is the N key, and hover over the building with your mouse. Then when you do find the toolmaker, craft a pickaxe, an axe, knife and a sickle. Then afterwards go to the next zone called the Chill Hag and gather tier 2 fiber and tier 2 wood materials till you get to 240 fame, which you can see by clicking the small arrow on the top right corner, and select to show the percentage and select gathering missions. As well, just so we would be clear in this video, a lot of times I will say word fame, which for all new players means experience in this game, so remember, fame equals experience. I'm just letting you know so you would get confused moving forwards. Then when that is done, go back to the Swamp Cross zone. Then open your minimap, and as we just gathered cotton and wood, we need to refine them into materials, so we could use them to craft gear. So then while you have your minimap open on full display, find the crafting station, which is called the lumber mill. Click on the building and craft tier 2 planks. Then find a weaver's building and craft cloth. Then when the materials are refined, go to the hunter's lodge and craft a tier 2 bow. Then go to the mage tower and select the second tab and craft a scholar's cowl, robe and sandals. And then equip them by pressing I key on your keyboard and your inventory will open. So then just right click on each item. After you have equipped everything, click on the bow icon and select the second Q ability. As well, again, to make things clear, if you want to be a healer or a tank or whatever else at the start till tier 4, it doesn't matter if you craft and use a bow or something else. The leveling will be super fast at the beginning, so use the bow for the fastest progression, and after you get to tier 4, I will explain and show you at which point you can pick and choose what you want to play and use. Okay, so now our next objective is to press B, and in the Destiny board select the Journeyman's Reaver and click on track button. Then go back to the main screen and in the top right corner click the arrow and checkmark the fighting missions. And now let's go back to the Chill Hag zone. Then open your minimap and find one of these green open world mob camps. Go to that camp and kill mobs till you get to 1000 fame. If you're a complete beginner, the way you attack mobs is select the target, then for normal attacks press the space button, and your Q, W and E spells are your damage abilities, and then your R, D and F abilities are your defensive abilities. Then when we have achieved the 1000 fame, open your Destiny board by clicking B key and click on the bow icon, and then click on learn button and then press yes. Then for the cloth armor, we do the same thing, click on the icon, then click on learn button and click yes. And then lastly, we find the next bow icon and click on track button. Okay, and now let's go back to the Swamp Cross and go to the winter zone called the Gwen Gorge. In this zone, we simply want to gather around 15 to 20 tier 2 ore. When that is done, go back to the Swamp Cross, find the smelter like we already learned how to do and craft ores into iron bars. Then again find the toolmaker and craft all tier 2 tools like we did at the start. Then when that is done, let's go back to the Chill Hag zone and gather tier 3 wood and tier 3 cotton. Just in case if you don't know, this is how a tier 3 wood tree looks like. And this is how a tier 3 cotton looks like, and gather around 30 to 40 cotton and 30 to 40 different wood. Then when we have finished that, again let's go back to the Swamp Cross, and like you have already learned, make wood and cotton into their refined materials. When that is done, this time we go to the auction house, then click on it and go to the second red tab, and click to sell all tier 2 and tier 3 materials. So you can get fast money by simply clicking on sell button, then select the first sell checkmark and click sell. And just like this, selling everything, we made almost 3000 silver. So now let's select the first green tab and type into search bar bow. Then click on a tier selection and select tier 3 and buy the cheapest bow, and now do the same thing for gear. So type scholar's cowl, scholar's robe and scholar's sandals and buy the cheapest gear. Then afterwards close the auction house and equip your new gear. This time, instead of only selecting abilities for the weapon, we will select it for all items. So first of all, click on the bow and select the Q second option. Then for the Scholar's Cowl, select the second ability and first passive. Then for the Scholar's Robe, select the same things, so second ability and first passive. And for the shoes, select the second ability and second passive. Then to clear out your old gear, go to the repair station, click repair your gear and go back to the auction house. And sell everything that is in your inventory and not equipped. Then when all of this is done, go back to the Chill Hack Zone. And this time, find the big green open world mob camp and go to it and kill tier 3 mobs till you get 7,500 fame. Then when that is finished, you should have unlocked the next Reaver level and gained at least 20% on your weapon and gear. So then in the top right corner, click on the Sandals Fighter and use the learning points to unlock the next tier. And from the same Destiny board, find again the bow icon and click learn. And unlock tier 4 bow. And now finally, this is where the starting area ends and the actual game begins. So you just learned how to level up your gear and weapons from tier 1 to tier 4. In the same process, just longer takes to get to tier 5 to tier 6 and etc. If you want to get better gear, you have to make money. And in this game, you can make it by killing mobs and buying gear, or gathering resources and crafting it yourself. But then to actually unlock it so you're able to use it, you have to kill mobs using that gear that you want to level up. And at the beginning, till your first 1 million fame, each few thousand fame you will get new Reaver levels, which are levels or tiers that make you stronger against higher tier mobs. So for example, if we unlock a tier 3 Reaver, we become much stronger against tier 3 mobs. And in that in mind, you will have to fame farm and level up. But before we get into this, as soon as you get to the tier 4, you want to go to the closest city, which for me is the Thetford city. And here you can get access to high tier crafting stations and the auction house, which like we did before, we use it to buy our gear. As this is the fastest guide to max tier 8, we won't be wasting our time in gathering, but instead for fame farming efficiently. So if you have followed me to this point, I would suggest to watch some of my other PvP or PvE videos and decide what you want to do. Either way, go do PvP, PvE or gathering. And by doing all of these 3 methods, you can achieve tier 8. But the most efficient and fastest way is at the start to fame farm. So I will be focusing on that. But in case if you're interested in a full gathering guide, then check my gathering video. Or if you want to go straight into PvP, then check my Corrupted Dungeons video, where I explain everything in detail. Okay, so with all of this out of the way, now let's go over to the fame farming strategy and what happens going from tier 4 to tier 8. So first things first, you can use whatever build in the previous segment you choose to play. But for people looking for the fastest fame per hour, then I would recommend to watch my top 3 best fame farming build video. And from that guide, I will be using one of the builds. So the best overall beginner friendly fame farming weapon is the axe build. So for the weapon of choice, we go with the Hand of Core and pick the second Q, 5th W and first passive. But if you don't have enough levels on the axe to unlock the 5th W, then for now go with the first option. Then for the helmet we go with the Scholar's Cowl and pick the 3rd ability and first passive. Then for the chest armor we go with the Stalker's Jacket and go with the 3rd ability and first passive. And lastly for shoes we pick the Soldier Boots and go with the 2nd ability and 2nd passive. Then for my choice of capes I pick the Thetford cape, and for consumables I went with the stew and poison potions. Okay, so right now, me telling you different weapons and gear pieces to you may seem overwhelming, especially if you're a new player. But remember that we already have learned all of this. So for example, Hand of Core is an axe weapon, so we find it in the Destiny board, and like we leveled up the bow, you can start killing mobs from one tier to another and get your axe to at least tier 4 the same way. And do the same things with the gear pieces. So then the Stalker's Jacket is from a leather gear, so you level up your leather gear and do the same thing with Soldier Boots, which are plate armor. Easy way to make money at the start is by just simply gathering and killing mobs and picking up silver after them. Then when you have unlocked this build to tier 4 and bought everything, now you have 2 options to do. You can first of all go into the Corrupted Dungeons and buy yourself fame farm, or then go fame farm solo random dungeons or group dungeons if you have friends. So let's go over quickly for both options. The first choice is, like I said, go do Corrupted Dungeons, an extended guide on soloing those dungeons I have made already, so feel free to check that video out. But in a very short summary, basically if you reach 800 item power, you can go into Hunter level Corrupted Dungeons. Then later you can progress through the Stalker level and etc. So I would suggest to buy your gear to tier 4 or 4.1, And to enter them, like I said, you will have to be 800 item power, which you can get by buying better gear, and all of these portals are across blue and yellow zones. So you can just simply run around one of these zones and a random red portal will appear. The idea behind corrupted dungeons is that eventually you match up against another player. So then you fight, but till then you can kill mobs and fame farm. But in the hunter level, which you will get access right away, you can't die. So if you do get found by a player, you get knocked down and you don't lose anything. So this is a great way to try out no risk PvP with fame farming. Like I said, for a full in-depth guide, check my corrupted dungeons video. But basically, if you choose to fame farm in this dungeon, then simply get your gear to 800 item power and keep on killing mobs. Then when you reach tier 6 Reaver and tier 6 gear, buy better equipment and start doing the next level Stalker's dungeons and progress this way to tier 8. If you follow my guide, then not only you'll be able to fame farm super fast, but as well make money. Yes, going into harder level dungeons the PvP will be enabled, but with following my tutorials you'll be able to be 99% of the time completely safe, and it will be worth your time. But then if you're really one of those players who doesn't like even 1% risk, and you just want to fame farm, then I would recommend to go into solo dungeons, which you can find them the same way by going into yellow zones, and they will spawn all across the zone, just this time they will be green. So same way in this dungeon you can just fame farm and kill mobs with no players as long as you don't go outside of the yellow zone. The mobs will always stay the same tier and the progression will be a lot slower. But if you are a group player, you may be invited into a group dungeon or expeditions. So if you want to know more about group content, then let me know that in the comment section down below. But trust me, in the long run, fame farming by yourself is the most efficient and reliable way to fame farm. You only have to worry about one other player and you don't have to be online in specific times. And you can just use the best fame farming builds and not have mandatory builds for PvP. Okay, so we just looked into how can you get to tier 8 the fastest. We looked into the things you have to do from tier 1 to tier 4 and then from tier 4 to tier 8. But there is another way to do it, which is by spending money. So for example, if you're doing the first or second fame farming method, you can buy gear and potions, but then you keep on earning silver. Well, with that silver you can buy tomes of insights, which you can use to basically buy fame for silver. The money per fame ratio isn't really that good, but if you really are looking to get to tier 8 the fastest, and you don't care if you reach tier 8 with 0 silver, then I would recommend to buy your leveling gear and the rest 90% silver, just spend it in the auction house buying tomes of insights. Just to give you some perspective, to get one weapon from level 1 to level 100 it would require 3,385 tomes, and as one tome costs around 30,000 silver, a grand total will cost around 101 million silver. So I didn't want to mention this at the beginning of the video not to confuse newer players, but just so you would know there is an option like this as well. And last but not the least, I didn't know where to include this, but at lower levels it will be hard to kill higher tier bosses. So then no matter if you're doing group dungeons or corrupted dungeons, always bring at least few tier 4 poison potions and use them only on the big boss. And then like we already talked about, as soon as you can afford better gear, always buy it, because while fame farming you should not be dying. So if you can't get as good gear as possible, then you can kill mobs even faster. And before we end this video, I can honestly say that it was filled with a lot of information, especially for a new player. So if you missed something or have any questions, feel free to watch the video again, or for more specific information feel free to comment in the comment section down below. And so you would be able to learn more about different builds and dungeons and everything else, watch my other in-depth videos on my channel, and you will find everything that you're looking for. So if you found this video helpful, please leave a like, subscribe and enable that notification bell, so this way you could support the channel and you won't miss any more amazing content from me. With that said, you have an amazing day and I'll see you in the next video. So take it easy, peace.
Yo, I ain't here for the